Now, what we're going to show you here is setting it up if you're doing a win ratio. If you haven't watched the video on setting it up for win every time, please watch that because the settings are very different if you're doing more of a win every time versus a win ratio. So if we're going to set this machine up as a win ratio, and that's how it is set up default out of the box. But that doesn't mean the claw strengths and everything's set properly for the items that you're going to do. So we're going to walk through some settings and explain some of the different claw strengths and when they are triggered and when they aren't triggered. So basically on a win ratio mode, what we're going to do is we're going to go to our main menu and we're going to go to system setting, and we are going to toggle down until the average win ratio. And right now we've got this at 1 in 16. So we're going to drop that to like a 4 for right now. And we're saying we're at a 50-cent play. We want about 1 in every 4 to give a prize out. We're going to get a return of $2 on that. So our average win ratio, we're going to set it for. Now, in conjunction with that, we need to adjust the claw strength accordingly. And it's important that you understand when you're doing a win ratio how the claw strength works on the mini claw machine. So what you have, if you go back to your main menu, so just click the mode button and you go down to gantry test. You have 3 different claw strengths. You have the test high power, test mid power, test low power. And these are all very different. So what the machine's going to do when you have a average win ratio setting on the game, basically the machine's going to look at if it's on the win ratio. So if it hits that 4th play in this case, what the machine is going to do is it's going to go down on the high power. It's going to maintain that high power for a little longer than it normally would. And then it's going to transition to the mid power, but it's never going to go to the low power. It's going to maintain either the high or the mid. So, and then every other play in between that, it's going to go from high power, mid power, and then low power. Now your low power is where it's going to drop the toy when you have that set to a lower ratio. So typically what you want to do on that with a win ratio is you want your high and your mid set a little higher. So just like in our previous video where we set up the win every time mode, and we did increments of 10, we started our highest at 70. So the machine's actually going to be still set at that because that's what we had done in a previous video. And that's fine. We'll go ahead and leave that. And what that's going to do is when that claw goes down, it's going to grab an item pretty firm. And then we're going to go ahead and go into mid. And we can leave that. You can adjust that a little bit. But what it's going to do is it's going to, when you hit that win ratio, again, you're starting at your high power. You're maintaining that high power for a little longer than it normally would, and then it transitions to a mid power until it goes all the way home. But it never goes lower than that mid power. So the important one here is going to be the low, because if you set that set high, it's basically going to maintain that grip throughout. And when you're on a win ratio, you don't want it to, because every game between the win ratio, so in this case we've got a win ratio of 4. So games 1, 2, and 3, we don't want them to win. We want that to that claw power to loosen up, and then when it does hit that 4th win, that way you're able to maintain that grip based on your high and your mid claw strength. So on something like this, I mean, we really just drop this fairly low. I mean, you take it down to like a 10. You could adjust it. If you get kind of a mid-low level, there's sometimes it may maintain that grip. It depends on the items, and it may make it all the way back to the prize box. If you get really low, then when it gets up to the point to where it transitions over to the low power, it's more than likely going to fall out as that claw moves back to the home position. So In this case, we're going to go ahead and just, for demonstration purposes, and this is all unique to how you want to set it up, but we're going to put this fairly low. And we're just going to exit twice and then hit the mode, and then we're on our regular button. And again, anytime you want to go ahead and play the game or test the game without putting money in, just hit the exit button twice. And there you go. You can see on the first one, it kind of grabbed the toy. As the gantry or the claw moved up and the gantry started to move, it ended up actually dropping that toy. But make sure that you set up your game, your claw machine appropriately for the mode that you want it to be set in. If that's a win ratio, then kind of follow these instructions. If you're looking to do more of a win every time mode, then go ahead and see our video on setting it up for a win every time mode.